You ready to go? I'm ready to go.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. I thought I could catch you out.
No, man.
He just put a crisp in his mouth as soon as I started the music. So he's been frantically chomping.
Chew, 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 swallow.
Chew, 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 swallow.
Yeah, man.
Only 3.
Yeah, man. That's all you need. That's the minimum required number of chews.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Starter for 10. He's George.
He's Angus.
We're on an episode.
Yeah. I don't know which.
Don't know which. Kind of lost track again, but it's all good. Yeah, we're back again. Have you had a good week?
Yes, I have.
What have you been up to?
Nothing.
The long pause doesn't really work
Well,
on an audio format.
No, true. People just wondering, is it stopped? Is it where is? Are they? What's going on?
George is broken. Sorry, I had to put 50p in it.
Another coin in. Yeah. No, nothing of interest. Just
Nothing of
work
interest.
and play.
Work and play.
Well, a bit of play.
Good to hear.
And you?
I've reupholstered some chairs. Yeah, that was
quite fun.
I'm not going to go that far. Got to use the new staple gun.
See, that's great. Men love a good new tool.
What else has happened?
I used a sander recently.
Good.
A table. It was quite fun.
Keep up with the news. That's been quite busy.
That's good because we are a topical show.
Yeah. Just been quite angry, really.
What, the news?
Yeah, angry at the news. I genuinely called Vanessa Feltz today on Radio 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I was angry.
What was the topic that got you angered?
Oh, it was actually, yeah, interesting. I'll tell you why I was so angry. It was
do.
It was the cycling Bradley Wiggins TUE abuse thing.
Okay.
I'm a big cycling fan. I'm a big sports fan, and I weirdly have a fairly broad understanding of the kind of drugs as well that these guys are using, and I don't like cycling's past of where it's been with drugs and everything like that. The illegal guys, the what's his name, the Lance Armstrongs and all that stuff that's happened. But I think what's happened here is essentially, there's a few plot points here. It's a Russian hacker group are leaking. Are essentially
Something bear.
Yeah, are leaking the medical records of sportsmen. Not just cyclists, all sorts of people, but obviously the big, high-profile people, so Chris Froome, Bradley Wiggins, are like high-value targets. Now, they haven't actually done anything. They haven't actually taken any substances that they weren't allowed to. So that they are above board, but you have to have permission to use these things. Mm-hmm. Now, what's kind of come to a light that is more disturbing is how's the best way to explain it? They have, say, for instance, you had hay fever or asthma. Now, it's pretty easy that every single person so the 100 guys at the Tour de France, it's quite easy to get diagnosed with having hay fever-like symptoms. Therefore, you put under the umbrella of having hay fever.
You're on your Piriton.
There you go, right? Piriton is what you would be given for hay fever. However, they're not. They go to the team doctor who gets approval.
He just puts them on coke or something.
Essentially, they're giving them huge doses of corticosteroids, like oral steroids, which, yes, do alleviate the symptoms of hay fever,
but also
have a systemic effect on the whole rest of the body and how all sorts of processes work.
Naughty.
Now, the argument is, are you taking them back up to a level that allows them to perform at a level that they already do exist at?
Or over and above?
Are they now able to perform at a level higher than they were? The one thing to stress is that technically the athlete hasn't, the way the laws are, he hasn't actually done anything wrong. But, however, there is something systemically wrong with the laws. The fact that you can do this and it is okay. Yeah, and it just made me incredibly angry.
So you nearly rang Radio 2.
I nearly rang Vanessa Feltz because for example, they prescribed, Bradley Wiggins was given 40 milligram of prednisolone. Now, I have pretty extreme lung deterioration, and my worst point was put on 40 milligram of prednisolone to get rid of the inflammation. When, there you go, that was the same.
Christ.
You are genuinely getting near the maximum dose that you can give somebody per kilo. Like, you are getting up to the realms of, like, really big doses. And they were giving this for a week. And also, not just because they had hay fever, because they were preempting that they may have the symptoms of hay fever when they. So essentially, where you would.
So essentially, they are doping. Really?
Well, this is
Really, they are.
They are, but
Like-
the problem is it's within the laws, and that's how it is, and it's sad. I'm a sports fan. I love sport, and all I want to see is people competing on a level playing field. But it opens a whole. I could talk for hours about it, and I think it's a real issue. But the other side of it that I see is that all of a sudden a Russian hacking group have leaked this stuff while everybody's.
Well, yeah.
It takes the spotlight off of Russia's state-sponsored doping.
That's the whole thing is with the Russia thing is that it was, as you just said, it was sponsored by the state. So it wasn't like an individual
this isn't
taking
sponsored
hay
by the
fever,
state.
hay fever medication.
This is even worse than being sponsored by the state. This is sponsored by the World Anti-Doping Agency. This comes from the people who decide the rules,
true, yeah.
because they let that go through their slip through their net.
That's true.
Not just cycling, but cycling obviously is it's actually Bradley Wiggins who's taking the brunt of this for all the athletes who have been abusing the TUE system for all this time. But as I said, I could talk about that forever, and it is current news, but it's not super interesting. But it made me so angry I nearly rang Radio 2.
I think you should have rang Radio 2.
Yeah.
What were they saying?
Well, there was somebody rang up because Bradley Wiggins was also given an intramuscular injection that was another anti-inflammatory, essentially. And there was a lady who rang up who also has this same drug, and she is really bad. Whatever her condition was really bad. But this drug is so strong, you're only allowed to have it 3 times a year. So
3 times a year?
Yeah, so what she has to do is space it out and time it around things. Because essentially, she was saying it's like a miracle drug for her. Her chest symptoms get so bad, she's nearly in a wheelchair. She goes in, has her injection, and
Is it like in the spine or something?
No, it's in your arm. It's literally an intramuscular injection. But it's an
okay.
anti-inflammatory, but it's so strong, and it has such an effect on all different parts of your body. It induces weight loss and all sorts of other things that are also beneficial for cycling,
Oh, yeah, of course
which is beside the point.
Less weight, more muscle.
And then it takes effect so fast, it literally changes her life, and she's back good again. Now, her argument was, now it allows Bradley to be really good and win. It was like, don't quite think you've understood the point here, love. All you've done is go, that drug's really, really, really good. But for me, the problem is they're knocking in. I said it to somebody else. I said it to Mark on Twitter. They're essentially knocking in like thumbtacks with sledgehammers here. They're taking the smallest possible.
Yeah, they are.
And they're using the biggest tool they've got, and it's sad.
Yeah, right.
I don't like that. I watch loads of sport. It keeps me interested. I just find it really sad, and that's what happens.
So you've had a bit of an angry.
Yeah, I just don't like watching it. I like Bradley Wiggins. I like him as a bloke. I think it's almost like the Lance Armstrong thing. He raised, I can't remember what the figure is, but it's hundreds of millions of pounds for cancer.
Mm.
And he used his profile to do that. You can't begrudge the man who raised, I think it's $800 million for cancer charities. Now, you can't begrudge the man who raised that much money for cancer.
How did he raise that much money?
Live Strong, the yellow bands, all that stuff.
That was him?
Yeah. There you go. So
wow, I never knew that.
Exactly. So you can't begrudge that. And Bradley Wiggins has literally changed the UK's perception of sport.
And
since
yeah, I mean,
2012,
so many people
cycling,
cycle now.
Everything. What he's done outside of it is amazing. But do I agree that if they've done this under shady... It's not shady. That's the problem. It's not shady. It just has ethical questions. Ethically, was it the right thing to do? No. Is sport about ethics? No, it's about taking the rule book and running as close to the line and winning at the end of the day. And then sport is about winning, very, very, very closely followed by following the rules. That's the pecking order, and everything else comes.
I think you summed
second.
it up perfectly there.
Yeah, and I think it's just a shame that I think the wrong people here are getting kicked through the mud and are having to take the brunt of this. But that's by the by, isn't it? Dart of a tent isn't Angus's political stool to stand and talk about doping. So I think instead we'll talk about a teenage surfer who campaigned against having a barrier for putting sharks to keep the sharks away from his beach,
Yeah.
has been attacked by a shark. Yeah.
Oh my god. Where?
Australia.
Australia.
Yep. Canberra.
So he campaigned against having nets.
I don't know if it is nets. I'm not sure how these things work, but presumably
Well, they do
it is.
have. That is one of the ways they do it, isn't it? With nets, shark nets.
It must be, or some sort. I guess they're not. They don't have some sort of. I don't know how. What else would you call it? Like an electric mesh.
I don't think they're powered ever. I think they're just nets because the nets just keep them away and they don't try and swim through them, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Or just a deterrent.
Just keeps them away.
Yeah, well, he was a 17-year-old high school student. He was surfing with friends on the first day of the student spring vacation when he was attacked off the Balinas Lighthouse Beach.
Is he okay?
The shark struck from behind and bit across his board, and the fins lay on the board paddling. It tore into the fiberglass as its upper teeth clamped his hip and thigh, so it got a good part of him. The shark lacerated his leg in 3 or 4 places fairly deeply. Luckily, the lifeguards were on duty and got down there quickly. He should be okay. So he basically got away with a scratch.
He should be okay.
Yeah, it was close to his artery, but he was fine. Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever been bitten by a shark?
No.
No?
No.
Do you remember, like, one of the very first podcasts we did, we talked about sharks, different types of sharks?
Did we?
Yeah, we did. I think it was one of the ones that before we named it. We talked about sharks.
Are they still available?
I think they're on
that's
Spreaker.
car crash, that is. If you want to laugh, and you probably...
If you want to laugh, listen to the one before we named it.
Yeah, the one before it got a name or something. It doesn't even have an episode number.
I think it starts with me reading the first few lines of the Bible.
Yeah, it was a literary review of the Bible. It was quite edgy, wasn't it?
It was fun. But yeah, so you've never been bitten by a shark?
Mo.
Have you ever been bitten by a fish?
No.
No,
I tried to stay away from fish, really. I've said I'm not like a massive fishy guy. But, it's just kind of ironic, really, that the guy who campaigned against it...
We love good irony on this show. We love a good irony.
It does sort of provide the most of our stuff. But,
It does.
Wow, last week, a 29-year-old surfer died after his leg was bitten off in Perth. So...
Died?
Yeah, Australia has averaged fewer than 2 deadly attacks per year in recent decades. So it's still... I guess when you say like...
It's very rare, isn't it? More people die in other ways than that.
Yeah, they must
2 a
do.
year?
2 a year.
That's hardly any.
Yeah, but it's still enough, though. It would make me think about it.
Think how many surfers there are in Australia. There are thousands.
Yeah, but think...
the probability
How many
tiny.
close shaves do we get? That's only deaths. That doesn't mean... That's attacks.
Yeah, okay, fine. How many attacks then?
I don't know. There'll probably be quite a few attacks. And there'll probably be more people who see sharks and stuff.
True.
So I guess... And also the other thing is they're not like remote beaches away from anywhere. That's in Perth. That's like a populated, that's a big area. That's like a big... He's not in the sticks somewhere where people would say, don't go there, there'll be sharks there.
I think the surfers just don't care, though. They just get on with it.
Is it like a badge of honour?
I bet it is. Like that guy, once he gets better, he's going to be like, yeah, I got attacked by a shark.
Yeah, boy!
Yeah, boy!
I got attacked by a shark. How long do you reckon his yeah, boy will be?
Very long.
I think we might add those on the end.
Yeah, boy!
We'll add the yeah, boy.
Just turn the
end of
levels down.
Nah, we'll put proper ear blowers. Yeah, have you ever had any run-ins with lifeguards?
No, I did get caught in a riptide once, but I managed to get myself out of it. Only just. Nearly threw up when I got back to the thing.
Never even had a run-in in a swimming pool? I was thrown out.
No, I haven't.
I was thrown out of the local pool for doing a front flip when I was like...
I got kicked out of the pool by a teacher once.
What did you do?
What did you do? I was playing dead.
Yes! Yes!
Yeah, it was bad. So we were all pissing about in the pool. You know, because you have those periods.
That's such a George thing to do.
You have those periods where you're not really doing anything. And anyway, it was me and a few friends, and we were all just sort of playing dead, lying face down and like floating on your back. You know what I mean?
The mushroom.
The mushroom. And there was a couple of us doing it, and we were kind of like seeing how long we'd each last, you know. And I well
Turns
outlasted.
out 3.5 minutes is too long. Starts to raise the station.
I well outlasted the guys I was with, and then and the next thing I'm being like shaken to come up, so I come up, and the teacher's there, and he's just like, "Get out." So yeah, I spent the rest of that lesson without a towel by the side of the swimming pool. Quite cold, but I deserved it. No repercussions though. I apologised to the teacher afterwards, and there were no repercussions.
You idiot! You absolute idiot!
Could you imagine being the teacher there? You'd have been fucking terrified.
No idea what to do. Because, like, I guess we've seen it now. Like, our friends who are now, like, new teachers,
would have been
newly
like,
qualified teachers, could potentially, they could have a kid.
Do that.
They've never had, in university, they didn't go to the teach the kids to swim section of the course. They must, like...
These were PE teachers, though. They did know what they were doing.
Yeah, but even the PE teachers must dread swimming.
What to do if a child does the mushroom? So, yeah, that was...
I've had some other, like, close calls in pools, though.
Yeah?
Like, weird stuff. I used to go swimming on a Friday night after school with a lady who was, like, had kids were, like... I said, like, so many times then, I don't like this.
Like...
They were county level, border, like,
Ooh.
very fast swimmers.
Ooh.
So they used to get up super early in the morning and go swimming. Well, they moved house and they had this pool built at their house. So we used to go there.
Where's this?
Oh, just... It wasn't... It was like... It was,
What, around here?
Yeah, locally. And,
Who are you friends with?
her mum was like a swimming coach. So we used to go along and it was like full on... We used to go for an hour and we used to swim for 45 minutes, like, out of the hour. And we used to have, like... a 15-minute, like a quarter of an hour chat messing around as we got changed and whatever and got in the pool before we started. This is when the misdemeanours would happen. So I used to go with our friend Alex and my sister. Alex was a massive bloke. He's a legend. But he's like, at the time, he was playing rugby for England at the time, like England under-16s. He was a prop. And I reckon at that time he was in good shape as well. But I reckon he was probably, I'm going to say 19, 20 stone-ish at the time. Massive kid. My God. I did not know a 20-stone man could swim so fast. He is like a fish.
Muscle.
He's like a fish, like a whale. He was honestly like the beast.
Whales aren't fish, are they? No, they are.
No, they are mammals.
They're mammals.
So he was an awesome swimmer. So I used to mess around. We used to throw the little football to each other and whatever. And you know the little sucker on the bottom that filters the pool?
Yep.
Alex was riding me like a surfboard. So you know where one person stands as a plank and the other person stands on their back. Come on, we've all been there. You know that trick. Alex stands on me, pushes me to the bottom, and I get stuck on the...
What?
My chest seals on the sucker, and all of a sudden...
Yeah, if you get a perfect seal...
Yeah, I got a perfect seal, and when it perfectly sealed, it actually was sucking really hard. It sucked really hard, and I had like a spider's web hickey on my chest. Kind of, it left an imprint. It left a proper mark where it sucked down so hard.
Please tell me you took a photo of that.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I pushed off and I tried to pop up really quickly.
Yeah, of course you would. You're underwater.
And then I stood up like, oh. And then Yvonne and my sister saw and were like, what have they done? And I was like, oh. I realised that we'd done something really stupid and nearly got me stuck to the bottom of the pool.
That could have ended really badly.
Not as badly as you playing dead in the pool, was it? We both had like a near-death
pool
experience.
I learned to swim at Lamorna in Kingstaton.
I'm not sure where... I did swimming lessons there, so I may have also learned to swim at Lamorna.
I did lessons there. Lots of people did lessons there.
But that was just somebody's weird garden shed pool that we used to go to.
Yeah, but it was a B&B, wasn't it, I thought? Lamorna?
Yeah, it was just a horrible hotel, but the person obviously used to...
But the swimming pool was quite good.
It was all right. I mean, it wasn't...
It got better, didn't it? They redid it recently.
I haven't been
5 years ago or something.
I haven't been there since.
I think they properly redid it. It wasn't just a shed. We used to go to the Scouts, didn't we? Because it was heated, whereas Chudley Pool, they
Chudley
didn't
Pool
heat.
definitely wasn't heated up.
They could heat it. They've got the technology.
I think that's the problem. It costs so much.
Yeah, it's expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's Yvonne's pool doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, they get filled in?
Yeah, she filled it in because kids moved out, so they weren't swimming all the time.
And they're expensive.
And it cost a fortune to keep it running. But no, those were the days. But we used to swim like solidly for 45 minutes doing training programs and having personal best times and whatever. It was pretty regimental. I got quite a good swimmer.
Was it fun?
Yeah, but only for the misdemeanors for the 15 minutes on either end. The actual swimming is very solitary.
I've never enjoyed lengths. I've never enjoyed it.
It is really, really, really solitary, and it's very repetitive.
Yeah, don't get into it
and
at all.
It says, yeah.
I used to like diving for sinkers.
To retrieve a hoop.
A hoop.
Or a brick.
Or, or whatever we could throw in the pool
Plasters.
that would sink. Pick the tiles off the bottom of the swimming pool.
Pick the grout out from between.
Oh, brilliant.
Shows our upbringing of local pools. But I do quite like the local pool, and I like that it's around, but obviously it requires a community to run it. Yeah. And it's a somewhat reluctant community, as every year it feels like it's teetering on the edge of closure.
Every year it is, I think, teetering on the edge of closure.
But
it seems like 2 or 3 parties in 1 year seems to keep it going. So
what, like birthday parties?
Yeah, because obviously I live just around the corner, so I can hear and smell the barbecue. So yeah, I think they quite often have parties there, and they're I think that must be what keeps it going. And I imagine the schools sort of part fund it as well.
You'd hope so.
Mm.
Especially the amount of kids they take there to learn lessons
on the ground. So.
I
never use it. I'm ashamed to say, actually.
No, I've never had any back to lifeguards though. I got thrown out of Chudley Pool for doing his front flip, but he asked me not to. He asked me not to do it, and then I still did it. So to be fair, probably had that one coming. But I've never really had any proper run-ins with sea lifeguards.
Have you ever had a run-in with anyone in authority? I'm not talking like police.
Respect my authority.
I mean like someone who thinks they're.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I've had boot on the other side of the foot.
Where you've had to tell people.
Yeah, when we were working at the climbing centre.
Oh yeah.
Because the thing is there's no real room for error there.
Yeah, that I can understand.
The problem was you get kids if you were doing abseiling or taking groups places like that, they didn't quite understand they don't understand the consequences of the location where they were. And I don't think they quite realise that, yes, they're stood on a little patch of grass here, but 20 foot to your left is genuinely a 100-foot drop. And there aren't many places where they've seen that setup of a little field with 100 foot on your left-hand side. So they would be, you'd have to lose your rag from sometimes. But it wasn't really. But also the other thing, on a high ropes course, like Go Ape or that kind of thing, you had some people who were just genuinely retarded. And that obviously you have two attachment points, so when you're changing cable, you always have one attached at once. It's quite obvious. The amount of times that you get is just people who stand up on the first platform and they're like 25 foot in the air, both swinging them round in their hands, having a conversation to the person behind them, and you're like, whoa! And yeah, it was quite scary. So yeah, I lost my rag a few times. Yeah, but no, I've never had any run-ins with...
No, me neither.
Never really. I was always a bit... To be honest, right, when I grew up, I was always scared. I was always scared of getting in trouble. Yeah. And now, looking back on it, I should have been in more trouble.
Yeah, I wish I was just more stupid. School.
I wish I'd done more rule breaking.
I don't think that you should...
As long as you don't die. Clearly, at a climbing centre, don't go ignoring their advice, but,
As long as you don't die.
Yeah.
That's not really something you can say in hindsight, is it?
No. As long as you don't lose an eye or die. I think...
Well, whatever doesn't kill me.
It would make you stronger. Or it would give you a story for the podcast.
It would give you a story for the podcast. Life. That's true. That's true.
It will.
That's a good point.
Where would he be without these misdemeanors?
I don't know.
I still can't get over the fact that you got kicked out of the pool for playing dead. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was stupid.
How old were you?
Were
you old enough to know better?
Probably.
Were you in secondary school?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It must have been like year 8 or 9.
Yes. Yes.
It was bad.
I remember when I did GCSE PE, and GCSE PE was a bit of a con. Like, you had to choose sports to be graded in.
Yeah.
You had to choose like 4 sports to be graded in, but a really safe bet was to make sure you were being graded in what was it called, personal survival.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Which was essentially because you got a rating out of 10, and
as long jumped as in the pool with clothes on.
as long as you ticked all the boxes, you got a 10 for this. And rounders, everyone would do rounders, and everyone would do personal survival.
Rounders was great
because it was just a great way of guaranteeing a high grade. Because if you chose football as one of your sports, you had to be like county level football to achieve a 10. So you just chose obscure things that you could learn within an 8-week block.
Yeah.
So I did quite a lot of swimming in tracksuit bottoms and 2 T-shirts, and we used to have to go at 7 a.m. to go to a different pool and go and do that. But school swimming never really did it for me.
Did you ever do football at school, like football club?
No, I didn't have the body shape for that. And
yeah, fair enough.
I played rugby in school.
I used to play football badly, as I'm sure lots of people will remember.
Yes.
But we did it as secondary. I remember this one lunchtime where it was raining, but it wasn't raining. It was sleeting, but it wasn't sleeting. It was like a blizzard. Like you couldn't see a couple of feet in front of you. It was that bad, and we were in shorts and T-shirts on the field at lunchtime, and we're out there. And it starts getting bad, getting worse. And like, it's at the point where it's stinging your legs. Okay, it's so heavy.
On bare thigh.
Sleet, it's like actually stings. And we're saying to the teacher, "Shouldn't we be going in?" And he's like, "No, just carry on." And we're there, like, "Can't even see the football." Like, who's even got the ball? Nobody knows what's going on.
He brings out the orange ball for the one occasion a year when visibility gets so poor.
So I just remember getting very wet.
School PE though is a horror show if you actually think back and look at it.
It's a horror show if you hate sport, and it's a horror show if you like sport.
Yeah, who does?
If you like sport, it's not done properly.
Yeah.
And if you hate sport, then it's just horrendous.
Is there like a middle Joe who loves PE? Because I remember the worst thing, the problem is essentially you've nailed it there. You've got such a skill difference. Yeah. So the problem is they were big into rugby. Like when we were in the lower school, the guy in charge, Mr. Bauer, was a rugby man. So we did rugby. We never played football.
He's the guy that kicked me out of the swimming pool.
Yes.
Everybody who knows him will know what that would have been like.
So he
was the one that led the football coach as well.
He was hard. He was old school. That was the thing.
He was
super old school. That's why we used to play playing rugby. So you do it in an 8-week slot, or until Mr. Bauer got bored, which might be like mid-March. We've been playing rugby for 4 months, and but by that time, you've got the people who are playing like club rugby for the local town on the weekend, running as hard as they could into a guy
proper rugby,
into a kid who doesn't like sport.
Who really doesn't want to be there.
No, and the problem is the collisions were too big for it was like the skill level was totally inappropriate.
Yeah, and they never picked the teams that well either. So,
well, even if you did, you couldn't. That's the thing with that game. It's fine as long
you
as
just put all the big guys against all the big guys, and all the little guys against the little guys, and you're sorted.
Yeah, but you still at some point are going to have somebody who's 14 stone running into somebody who's 8.
It's true.
And it seems funny at the time.
As well.
It's funny at the time, but it's super easy to end up getting like...
But I suppose that's why they used to play tag and stuff instead. We only played full contact a few times.
No, I don't know. Whatever groups I was in, Mr. Bauer was... Well, then I guess maybe I was more into it and I was willing to go for it. And then that's what happened.
I don't remember doing a lot in PE. I never enjoyed PE that much.
And also, they'd be like, now we're going into our weight training section. So they'd take you into this little poorly stocked gym. And
it's better now, though.
And everyone would just try and lift as much as they could with no training.
Yeah, hardly. Well, yeah, none. Literally none. It was literally, don't lift too much. That was our training.
I leg pressed 180 kilos when I was in school. Well, obviously, I was strong. I was doing lots of cycling, but there's no way that with no safety instructions should anybody be leg pressing those kind of. I mean, I'm probably there locking my knees out backwards and just think about what could have. The consequences were just. Well, maybe like somebody in the corner with the treadmill at 25, stood there running
up the stairs,
running like that Arabian man we've all seen on YouTube who's looking behind him. He can't believe he's not going anywhere.
I used to just rowing machine. That's what I used to enjoy, and when we went there,
no one enjoys rowing machine.
Oh, loved it. I don't know how many. What was it? First to 1,000, or was it? Yeah, 1,000 ridiculous?
Exactly, racing to 1,000 meters.
We used to race to 1,000. Yeah,
which
that
is
was
like
good fun.
If you're hauling, probably like 3 minutes. It's like under 4.
I don't remember what the times were, but I remember competing and having names on the. Yeah. On the sheet.
So then, essentially, that's exercising as hard as you physically can for somewhere in the region of 4 minutes.
And then doing nothing else for the rest of the
Well, it'll just make you be sick doing that.
But having long legs and long arms helped.
Yeah, for me. You are king of the gangle.
Yeah, very gangly. So that helped.
Super gangly.
It was just stupid, though. Especially single PE. We had single period.
Yeah, what can you get done in 45 minutes?
Lessons, but nothing, because half of it, if not more, is spent getting changed. So you would go and get changed for 15 minutes.
Is that a thing everywhere? The flipping...
Spend 10 minutes actually doing anything. Remember, you've also got, like, teaching. So you got, like, 10 minutes of trying to tell you what you're supposed to be doing, right? 10 minutes of doing it, 10 minutes of packing everything away, and then another 15 minutes of getting changed again. It's pointless.
I'm sure I can attribute most of my lung problems in later life.
Oh, what, to Lynx Africa?
I literally can. I think I can trace it back to Lynx chocolate and Lynx Africa. If I close my eyes, I can take myself back.
I can actually taste it in my mouth.
It used to be absorbed into your skin through like... It just used to be absorbed into your pores.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Oh, my. Every school across the land, every boys' changing room must have just smelt of Lynx Africa.
It was terrible.
And do you remember the smell? I will take the smell of the little room which had all the spare kit in to my grave. Like that little...
That like musty clothes smell.
Yeah, with all those...
Mixed with trainers.
Yeah, and those wet yourself joggers they used to make you wear if you forgot your kit. Oh, it was savage. It's not even... is it character building?
No, it's just cruel. And it doesn't make people... Because it was never even the people who just forgot their kit. It was people who came from homes.
Yeah, there were people who probably didn't have...
Who just couldn't... Yeah, for whatever reason, just couldn't get it sorted. And it was just victimising. That's what it was.
Oh my God.
Terrible, man.
It's funny. I forget about all these things until I sit back and actually... Till I actually look at it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, that's something. Do you know what we've forgotten?
What did we forget?
How long have we been going?
No, we got time.
We got time?
Yeah.
Good, I thought we was going to have to squeeze it in then.
No, we got time.
Unwatch. It's time for Kim Jong Unwatch.
Yes!
Kim Jong is back in the room. It's been a big week for Un. It's been a big week for Un. So much so that actually when George came round, he actually told me some stories about
I thought that this would have been your story, but...
Well, normally I'm the one who's breaking the news to George, and then consequently on to you.
This was my mum. She spotted it in the mirror.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. That's why my source.
So you go...
Oh, God. Hang on about. Which tab is playing? South Korea. I've got loads of news tabs open.
And they're all playing,
like... There's nothing. There's not even a video
Just
playing.
Press the mute button.
There's an error saying it can't download the video, but for some reason it's still playing the soundtrack. Right. Yeah, this week on last Wednesday, Kim Jong Un accidentally let the world access its internal internet.
Oh, it did.
So we were allowed to get a sneak peek into North Korea's internet.
I forgot about that.
And amazing, it only has 28 websites online, including its own version of Facebook.
Of course, I'm sure it's terrible.
So it is quite an embarrassing setback, to be honest, for them, because it does make them look quite stupid, really.
Are there actually only 28 though, or were only 28 made available?
No, there are only 28 on the whole, because the main DNS server They essentially
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
somebody leaked the data to the whole the locked server onto Reddit, so they scanned everything available.
Sure, yeah.
And there was only 28 available. Which is kind of shocking,
28
really.
websites.
They are still living in the dark ages. As well, we've also had what was your one your mum had said?
Oh, that one. I think I can remember it. Basically, there's loads of statues.
That's it.
The statues being erected of Un and Kim Il-sung.
Kim
Il-sung? Was that his dad?
Yes.
Kim Jong-un and Kim Il-sung?
Kim Il-sung. Good knowledge.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-il.
Kim Jong-il?
Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung, who's the ones before.
Oh, grandfather as well, yeah.
Yes. So 3 of them.
So they're erecting loads of statues.
Of them on like horseback and stuff, which they've never done as well. They've never ever ridden on horseback.
Brilliant.
So
and they're slowing the traffic by changing the speed limit. The speed limit by those statues to something like 4 miles an hour.
Yeah, it says 3 miles an hour.
3 miles an hour.
Yes.
So you're supposed to crawl by, and I suppose, I don't know, pay your respect. I don't know. Salute. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
The traffic is very light, it says here, as the political elite are allowed personal cars.
Oh, okay.
But though I will give them 10 out of 10. The statue is bloody impressive.
Is it?
It's immense. It's like one of them is like a massive big wedge with a huge.
Wow.
Like, imagine Nelson's
it's amazing
column.
what you can do with slaves, isn't it?
Yeah. Imagine Nelson's column, but make it like the same height, but
wider,
50 times the girth, and still put a massive
horse.
prancing horse with Kim Jong-un on the top of it, and there you go.
And slowing the traffic down to 3 miles an hour. Basically, they do the same thing in London, though. It's just there's so much congestion rather than actually slowing the traffic down.
Maybe that's where they got this idea from.
Maybe. I didn't know it was possible to drive at 3 miles an hour, if I'm perfectly honest with you.
3 miles an hour max speed.
Let's just put it into first gear and let it crawl itself along.
Ghost ride the whip. Just put it in first and let it chug. South Korea this week has also revealed it has a plan to assassinate Kim Jong-un.
Oh,
and they've just straight out...
I'm glad they've told everyone.
They've just straight out come out and said that if they feel threatened, the elite troops are already on standby, and they have a plan to do it. Yeah. They have precision missile capabilities to target the enemy's facilities. They literally have...
They are all set up and ready to go. Push the button, done.
Yeah. Also, this is hilarious. There's a caption under a picture here of Kim Jong-un laughing. He's inspecting farm number 1116 in an undisclosed... So literally, in his world, the farms are obviously just numbered. They're not even named. It's a very odd place. But yeah, it's been a good week for Un, really. If we, in a quick look back through Unwatch, it's been a fairly decent...
good week.
Yeah, for the big man.
Big Un.
Yeah. I don't think there's any other...
I think that's it.
Unwatch news to present. I'll keep my ear on the ground.
Yeah, good idea.
Ready for next time.
Yep, keep talking to your inside knowledge people in North Korea.
Yeah, I will. That's actually where this directly comes from.
Yeah, it's not the Mirror, it's Miha.
Yeah,
he's a North Korean.
Miha.
He's a North Korean spy.
He gets me on Skype, which means
somehow
it's quite dodgy for him. To be fair, he's doing me a solid because he could be killed for this.
He's a top guy, though. He's a big fan.
He is. He's a top guy.
He's a big fan of the pod.
Yeah, when we look back through the statistics, you can actually see where people listen. And amazingly, there was just one guy in North Korea, and we were like, he's our guy.
Him. He is the guy to tell us about Kim.
Yeah, so how can we find him? And then he sends me the links.
Yeah, that's actually how
That's how Unwatch was born.
That is genuinely how it happened.
Wasn't through my boredom of trying to think of a funny intro to something. To a news backing soundtrack.
No, it wouldn't be that. No.
But that's definitely not what happened. Anyway, I should roll the outro. Unwatch, that has been Kim Jong-un Watch. That has been Kim Jong-un Watch.
That look. Angus just gave me an amazing look.
The only other feature to talk about
reviews
is the crisps and beer.
Oh, crisps and beer.
The crisps and beer.
Yeah. So you go beer, I'll go crisps.
This week's pod has been brought to you by. We've been lubricated by. What's it called? Brewdog.
KY jelly?
No, not KY jelly this week, George. That's later. Brewdog.
Punk IPA?
Punk IPA, the most boring one, but yeah, got some.
It's
of that.
not. It's lush.
Yeah, but I know, but it's the mainstream.
It smells like. What does it smell? Is it grapefruit?
It's fruity. Yeah, there's some fruits.
Is it grapefruit or pineapple? I think it's grapefruit, isn't it?
There you go. That was me having a sip.
It's got grapefruit on the nose.
Yeah, it's a very nice beer. I guess it's a young man's beer.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's very good.
It's good though.
I'm enjoying it. I think I might get some. I might start having this as my house beer.
Mm.
You know?
It's a good house beer.
Just to have in for a while.
And the crisps are pop something, aren't they?
Yeah.
Popped crisps.
And they look like...
They're popped, not fried.
Yeah, they look like
Ryvitas.
Ryvitas.
No, not Ryvitas, like Snacker Jacks.
Yes.
But crushed down to a thin thing and then
a thin
fried.
And a little bit like small poppadom.
But if you look at them, yeah, they look like mini poppadoms. But if you look at them closely, they're made up of lots of bits of puffed potato.
And how crunchy would you say they are? Very. Ludicrously crunchy. And
very.
To be fair to George, he's been eating them throughout the podcast.
Yeah, I've been carefully eating them.
And he carries on holding his microphone away from him. Almost like...
I'm handheld today, yeah.
Tay Zonde. You know, the chocolate rain guy.
Chocolate rain.
I look away from the mic so I don't breathe in. Internet cult hero.
They're nice though.
Yeah.
They taste healthy. Like Snacker Jacks. Or like if you're eating just like rice crackers. That's what they taste like, but they're salty.
Yeah. So that has been that.
That's been
That's that really.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
That concludes the personal messages. We continue with music.
The outro music rolls. Yeah. It's been a bit of a weird one.
Talks about
Well, I mean,
all sorts.
Before we even started on Shark Attacks, I spent 7 minutes. I mean, if you managed to carry on listening through my sporting rant,
You didn't just push it forward.
if you didn't just push it forward.
To be honest, I'm probably going to push it forward later. So
Yeah. When George listens back, he's going to bump through it.
boring. Move it on.
Yeah, we talked about doping scandals, and then
It's a very important subject.
And then we talked about teenage surfers getting attacked. And then we talked about getting kicked out of pools, swimming lessons, George pretending to drown,
Doing the mushroom.
rugby, football, school PE, the smell of the PE room,
Everybody
Lynx
will relate to
Africa,
that. And Unwatch.
and Unwatch. Yeah. And more importantly, we remembered the rundown.
That was a banger.
It was. I think it was a varied mix.
Banger.
It was more just. It was another school memory thing, really.
Yeah, but they're great.
Yeah, I guess sometimes. And also, I think it's a very it's a unanimous experience. I think everybody has.
Everybody
It doesn't-
knows
yeah.
the PE smell.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter
Spare
where you
kit
it's
smell.
feet and mud and just everything
And rain.
and nastiness.
Ugh.
So yes, that
That has been Start for 10.
has been Star for 10.
He was Angus.
He's been George, and we are going to have to record get one in the bank because George is going away on holiday.
I'm going away, so yeah.
So
The next week's one will be pre-recorded.
it will be a pre-record, so it may not be that topical, and sadly we may not have an unwatch.
We might skip Unwatch.
So
We'll have to do it on Twitter instead.
hold tight, Unwatch fans. It will be back.
On Twitter.
It will be back. And we'll be back
We will be.
next Tuesday.
Next week.
Boom.
Boom.
See you later. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.